My stepmother insisted I share my grandfather's medical heirloom with my stepbrother, and when I refused, she took it and tried to deceive me. So, I confronted her and left for good. I never expected a family heirloom to be the catalyst that finally made me sever ties with my stepfamily. At 24, I was finishing my residency at Memorial Hospital when everything came to a head. My father remarried when I was 17, shortly after my mother lost her battle with cancer. That's when Eliza and her son entered our lives in Seattle. Initially, I maintained an open mind. My father seemed happier, and I genuinely wanted to give our blended family a chance. But over the years, tensions mounted steadily. My stepbrother, now 22, had developed a troubling habit of mishandling my possessions. From my medical textbooks to personal mementos, nothing seemed safe from his careless treatment. Whenever I voiced concerns, Eliza would dismiss them with platitudes about young men needing to share. Despite my frustration, I tried maintaining harmony. I'd secure my door, conceal valuables, and quietly replace damaged items when possible. My father typically avoided these conflicts, offering only superficial advice about getting along before changing the subject. I resented his avoidance, but lacked the energy for daily confrontations while managing my demanding medical training. The situation reached its breaking point during my recent winter break. My maternal grandfather, who still lived in our hometown of Portland, presented me with a priceless stethoscope. Beyond its considerable monetary value, it held profound sentimental significance. It had belonged to his father, a pioneering physician who had used it throughout his distinguished career. When he handed it to me, my grandfather's eyes misted over. "Take good care of this, kiddo. It represents our family's medical legacy. Your mother would be so proud of you following in these footsteps." His words formed a lump in my throat, and I promised to treasure the stethoscope forever. Upon returning to my father's home, I couldn't resist showing off my new prized possession. While my father acknowledged it with quiet approval, I noticed Eliza's immediate reaction. Her eyes reflected a disconcerting blend of jealousy and presumption. It took less than 48 hours before she approached me with her demand. "Your stepbrother would like to examine your stethoscope for a while. You should share it during your visit. It's the season of giving, after all." My instinctive refusal was calm but firm. I explained the stethoscope's significance and my discomfort with lending such a meaningful heirloom. Eliza's expression hardened as she accused me of selfishness, implying that my reluctance stemmed from it being connected to my mother's family. That insinuation stung deeply. She rarely mentioned my mother, but when she did, it invariably carried hurtful undertones. When I reminded her of her son's history with my belongings, she dismissed my concerns as dramatic overreaction. She promptly involved my father, who suggested I should just let him handle it indoors and relax. Their collective disregard for the potential loss or damage of my inheritance was infuriating, but I remained resolute in my refusal. In the following days, my stepbrother's persistence grew intolerable. He would find me alone and pressure me to let him just try it, claiming he'd be careful. I continued declining, which only intensified the disapproving glances from Eliza across the dinner table. To protect the stethoscope, I spent most of my time in my bedroom with the door secured, keeping the instrument either with me or locked in a small secure case hidden among my clothes. One afternoon, needing fresh air, I decided to walk around the neighborhood. Following my usual precaution, I locked my room and left the stethoscope secured in its case. As I departed, I noticed my stepbrother lingering in the hallway, his attention seemingly on his phone, but with an unsettling smirk that troubled me. Dismissing my unease, I continued with my walk. Upon returning, I found my bedroom door slightly ajar. A red flag since I always locked it, despite my father's objections. Inside, my dresser drawers were open, clothes scattered around, and my security case lay open and empty. The stethoscope had vanished. Furious, I confronted everyone in the living room. My accusations were met with my father's confusion. Eliza's feigned innocence, and my stepbrother's sudden interest in the floor pattern. I demanded the immediate return of my property. After a tense silence, Eliza responded with artificial concern about my possibly misplacing it. My father attempted mediation, suggesting I might have forgotten to secure my room, a suggestion I knew was false. The lock appeared tampered with, showing evident scratches around the keyhole. My direct confrontation with my stepbrother yielded nothing but evasive glances toward his mother, who protectively claimed her son would never steal and expressed outrage at my accusation. Determined to recover my heirloom, I searched the entire house while my father made half-hearted attempts to calm me. Eliza watched with barely concealed hostility, and my stepbrother performed an obviously staged search of his own room. The stethoscope remained missing. By evening, panic had set in as I contemplated explaining this loss to my grandfather. My father's suggestion to sleep on it only intensified my anger. Alone in my room, I messaged a colleague about the situation, who suggested considering legal action, a drastic measure, but I was desperate. Still, I worried that involving authorities would only prompt my father to minimize the situation, while Eliza manipulated the narrative. The next morning brought no resolution. My father promised a serious discussion with Eliza, while my stepbrother conveniently left with friends. Later that day, Eliza entered my room uninvited, presenting a small velvet pouch. For a moment, hope surged through me, until I opened it to discover an obvious counterfeit stethoscope that barely resembled my grandfather's gift. She claimed to have found it behind the laundry hamper, but her deception was transparent. When I confronted her about the fake, she feigned offense, snatched it back, and stormed out. In the living room, I found my father looking distressed while Eliza stood beside him, arms crossed defensively. Before I could speak, she launched into accusations that I had misplaced or sold the stethoscope and was now blaming them. To prove my case, I displayed photographs of the authentic stethoscope on my phone, highlighting the distinct details absent from the counterfeit. The evidence was undeniable, but Eliza's response was theatrical tears, claiming I was deliberately ruining our family holiday, and was ungrateful for her efforts as a stepmother. My father appeared torn between comforting her and acknowledging the obvious discrepancy. I issued an ultimatum, 24 hours to return the stethoscope before I filed a police report. Despite her dismissive response, I detected her underlying anxiety. The next morning, my father attempted to dissuade me from involving authorities, suggesting more time might resolve the situation. I emphasized the irreplaceable nature of the heirloom, both financially and emotionally. Taking decisive action, I posted about the theft in a private social media group comprising relatives and close family friends familiar with my grandfather's gift. Within an hour, numerous relatives expressed outrage and offered support, including an uncle who proposed legal assistance if necessary. The family consensus was clear. The stethoscope represented my mother's legacy and deserved protection. Word apparently reached Eliza's family circle as well. That evening, my father texted me to return home immediately, claiming they had found the stethoscope. Upon arrival, I discovered the authentic instrument on the dining table, with Eliza claiming she had discovered it beneath a couch cushion while cleaning, an obvious fabrication. After confirming it was indeed the original, I confronted them about the implausibility of her explanation. How had it migrated from a locked case to the couch? My father attempted to intervene, but I had reached my breaking point. I care about you, Dad, but I cannot stay where my possessions, especially my mother's legacy, face constant threat from people who feel entitled to take and deceive. Despite my father's pleas and offers of compromise, I packed my belongings that night. As I prepared to leave, Eliza had the audacity to warn me against expecting a welcome return after such disrespect. My quiet response was simple. If respect meant tolerating theft, I had no use for it. In the days that followed, extended family members expressed their disapproval of Eliza's actions. My father called repeatedly with apologies, eventually admitting that she had confessed to borrowing the stethoscope for my stepbrother. I clarified that tampering with a locked case and substituting a fake constituted theft, not borrowing, a distinction for which he had no response. Now I'm staying with a colleague while saving for my own apartment. My grandfather was relieved about the stethoscope's recovery, but saddened by the circumstances. Meanwhile, Eliza and my stepbrother apparently portray me as the villain who fractured our family over a medical instrument. I harbor no regrets. That stethoscope embodies my mother's memory and my grandfather's enduring love, a legacy I refuse to surrender to those who could never comprehend its true value. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more content like this,